It is that time of the afternoon on a Tuesday where we check out your property perspective with Etchells and Young. And he's joining us again this afternoon. A very good afternoon to you, Harry. Lucky to have you in the studio. Welcome back.
Awesome.
Almost
Thanks.
your second home on a Tuesday, right?
It is already for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Now, what I wanted to chat to you about is all those hidden costs when it comes to buying a house. We're all very excited, and everybody wants to own their own piece of property somewhere in their life, and we save a whole lot of money. And I reckon I've done the maths in my head. I've got my deposit. I'm ready to buy my house. People say to me, "Listen, 10% of the property value is good enough for a deposit. That's what I'm going to put down." I come to you, Harry, and I say, "All right, here's my deposit, my 10% deposit. Put the money on the table. Ask you to get me the documents. Let me sign it and move in." Is that basically all I need when it comes to moving in, or are there other hidden costs?
Oh, yeah. There's definitely a lot of other costs, but that is surprisingly very much the mindset of a lot of buyers. They reckon, I've got to scrape together the deposit and that's it. But that's only the beginning. And I think as we discuss things now, we're going to unpack some of the rest of those hidden costs. Or they're not even actually that hidden, but they're the rest of the costs that you have to think about, budget for, and definitely plan for.
But I think when it comes to one of these big purchases, we all get used to our very first purchase probably being a car. The very first big purchase that we make, and that is all we need is a deposit, sign on the dotted line, and you get your monthly your monthly money's taken out of your account. Okay, there are a couple of hidden costs, like the insurance. They didn't tell you they would cost you almost the same price as the car, right?
No, indeed. So, I mean, it's similar to that, but obviously, instead of getting the car the next day, once the dealer has worked it out, obviously there's a whole transfer and conveyancing process that we have to go through, and depending on if there's any issues, that is 6 weeks to 3 or 4 months down the line before you actually get your home.
All right, so I can't, I'm renting now, and I can't go, "Listen, let me hand in my resignation at the end of the month. I want to move into my brand new home that I saw this weekend. It is definitely my dream home. It's mine. I'm moving in there at the end of the month." No.
Definitely not as quick as that, but it can happen
Yeah.
that, once the suspensive conditions of your offer have been met, that an arrangement can be made that you can pay occupational rent and take occupation sooner. So that's not uncommon, but it won't actually transfer to you until it's gone through the deeds office and it's transferred from the seller to the buyer.
All right, so let's talk about these costs, these hidden costs. What kind of costs are we looking at? What are those hidden costs that we need to watch out for?
So, as we said, most buyers focus on the sort of monthly amount. They've gone to the bank, as you said, when you looked at your car thing. They've got a bond and they've worked out how much they're going to pay for the bond. They've kind of realized, okay, maybe there's some rates and taxes as well, but it's definitely a whole lot more than just that. So number one is your deposit. There's transfer duties or VAT, depending if you're buying directly from the developer. If you're buying from the developer, he charges you VAT, that's a tax. Or if you're buying from another person, then the taxman is going to charge you a transfer duty. There is a minimum amount, I think it's about 1.2 million now. If it's under that, you don't pay any transfer duty. You actually get a pass. But if it's more than that, it adds up quite quickly.
So which is better to pay, the VAT or a transfer duty?
It depends. If it's one really has to look at that transfer duty table, and if it's less than about 10 million bucks, in fact a bit more, then the transfer duty is less than the VAT, because VAT's 15%, right? But also remember that the VAT, this is actually just becomes part of the purchase price, the VAT, because and you'll get a bond for it, whereas the transfer duty you got to pay over and above the purchase price. So VAT's included in the purchase price when you do the transfer, but the transfer duty payable to SARS or by the conveyancer is over and above.
Yeah, so the purchase price is then really not the purchase price, is it?
There's definitely a lot more to it than just the purchase price. I suppose one can say It's a little bit like deciding to go down to Cape Town for the weekend and buying an air ticket. You think once you've been on to Fly Safari or I don't know if I'm allowed to say whoever's site and you've bought the ticket online, that's it. But there's a lot more to it than just that, isn't there? You got to add your luggage if you want to take a bag with you. You got to park your car at the airport or take an Uber to get there.
Wrap your bag that costs
a
fortune.
Your bag. You got to, you get onto the plane. You want to have a meal as well. All of these get added on afterwards.
Indeed.
What are some of the hidden costs? And I love that we're having this conversation because the number of times people say, you're renting for this much, you might as well pay a bond. Speaks to the fact that most people don't realize there are so many hidden costs that comes with, buying a house. So what are some of the other hidden costs?
So maybe what we can do is, because we've covered some of it, but if we just, I've made a list of sort of 5 of the main types of costs.
All right, well, let's count those down.
So let's count those down, and that's gonna answer your question, Lesedi. So number 1 is moving costs. Now, if you're moving within a suburb or even within a complex, it's not that significant. But if you're moving provinces and you need to hire a removal company, that's quite significant, and you've got to think about that. Number 4 is insurance. I mean, Al, you mentioned your motor car insurance. So with buying a home, there's 3 different types of insurance you've got to think about. The first one is if you're getting a bond from the bank, they want a life policy, some life insurance from you that you see to them. Or they'll sell you a separate policy to cover the cost or the value of the mortgage bond, so that if the proverbial bus hits you, the bond is covered, that your life cover pays for that. Then number 2 is your household insurance. So that's for the structure of the house, the roof, the walls, the geyser. You got to pay for that every single month, and usually the bank is going to want to see that you have that insurance in place as well, and they'll sell you the policy too. And then the third thing is obviously your household contents insurance. So that's what we always refer to as the short-term insurance. That's your furniture, your fittings, and all the stuff inside the house. So that's insurance. Then number 3 is your municipal costs and deposits. So when you buy a new home, you need to pay a deposit to the municipality for water, for electricity, and hopefully that's all. But you also have to take into account what are the rates and taxes. Is it more? Is it less? If you're buying a bigger house, it's normally more. So that's number 3.
And I suppose if you stay in a complex or in a estate, there's also a cost involved there.
Of course, the levies. Sorry, that's actually part of that, your utilities. And again, your levies is going to differ from estate to estate, but that's effectively the running costs. So security is a big cost of those levies, the maintenance, the painting, and there's special levies to cover once-off costs as well. So you've got to take that into account.
So the lesson is, don't just negotiate the price of your house, understand the total cost when it comes to buying it.
No, absolutely. And just to give you number 2 and number 1 quickly. So number 2, there's still a few more costs of these that we're hiding away, and I've jumped out. So the first one is any immediate maintenance or alterations or changes that you want to do. And if you haven't planned or budgeted for it, that could be quite expensive, because this is now your own place. And if we're talking about it from a first buyer perspective, they want to tailor make and customize it to suit their needs. But the number 1 thing, and we've touched on that, is your transfer and your bond registration costs. If it's a more expensive house, that is quite significant.
Are any of these negotiable, though, or are they set, especially transfer costs? Is it a fixed amount that you're going to pay, or can you say, hey, listen, I only have this much, bro, how can you help me?
Okay, that's a great question, Lesedi, because there are some of these costs that are negotiable. Firstly, the purchase price. I mean, you are negotiating with the buyer and you're making an offer to sell, so that's negotiable. The bond costs that the bank charge you, that's part of your conveyancing, that's normally fixed, but there are some exceptions. If you're a first-time buyer, they might be willing to give you a discount on some of those costs. The transfer duty, as we've said, it's a tax payable to SARS, so that is set, unfortunately, and the negotiable part of that is if you are buying a house for under that 1.2 million rand threshold, then there is no transfer duty payable, so you get a pass on that. Your attorney's fees is the other one. You can usually negotiate with them, especially if it's a bigger transfer, and they'll give you a bit of a discount on that in most cases. But the important thing, as you said, ask the question, hey, can I negotiate any of these? Because as at the end of the day, hopefully you've got a budget going and you know what you're going to be in for.
So I'm going to go back to the question I asked you a couple of seconds ago then. So the lesson is, don't just negotiate the price of the house. Understand the total cost when buying it, right?
Absolutely, because as you said, and I've already unpacked quite a few additional costs that you have to bear in mind and budget for.
And now the hidden costs, now that the hidden costs have been covered and all that kind of stuff, where do we go from there?
Yeah, well, now you're a property owner, and arguably some of the real costs of ownerships, like those levies, the rates and taxes, and especially maintenance, security, gardens, the insurances we spoke about, any unexpected repairs or other maintenance items, those little alterations or changes you want to make, all of that comes into it.
This sounds like a lot. Like, when do I start designing my house and like buying furniture? When does all of this start?
Hopefully you got a big budget, Lesedi, but for sure, you got to pay for all this other stuff first before you start getting to the fancies, eh?
Sure.
She was. All right, so give us today's 3 takeaways then.
Okay, so the first one is budget, and budget for all the costs that you think you're gonna incur. If you don't know what they are, find out. Speak to your agent, speak to the attorney, do some research, but budget for everything beyond just that purchase price. The second thing is understand all of those costs up front, and just going to quickly mention, I've had a look at what your transfer costs are at a couple of price bands. So we mentioned that any amount below 1.2 is exempt. Okay, then 1.2 to 1.6 million, that's 3% of the costs. And then as you go from there, 2.3 to 2.9 is the next band, 2.9 to 13 million thereafter. So just having worked out some of these, for 2 million rand, you're going to pay a transfer duty. Remember, this is another tax only, plus your lawyers' fees, plus your bond registrations and all the rest. So 2 million is 33,786. 3.5 million is 162,356. 5 million is 327,356. This thing is stuck on 56s. Okay, 10 million rand.
Yeah.
The transfer duty is 877,000. 15 million rand is 1.46 million. Now we're getting to that 15% VAT mark. And remember, this is added on top of your purchase price. So it's significant.
It is super significant.
What it is. Yeah.
So give us a closing then.
So I think the important thing here is, when you're buying property, your forever home, besides being hopefully a fantastic investment, a place that you're going to spend time with your family and your loved ones, you need to be informed and make informed, clever decisions, and just empower yourself, do a bit of research, ask questions, and ultimately, as we said, make better decisions down the line.
I think a lot of lessons have been learnt this afternoon, so thank you very much, Harry. But before we say goodbye to you this afternoon, Etchells and Young's Property of the Week. It's that time of the afternoon where we speak to somebody from Etchells and Young. And this afternoon, we've got Les Pretorius back with us. Good afternoon to you, Les. Welcome back to The Drive. Lucky to have you.
Hi, Al. Thank you so much. It's so nice to be here, and thank you for the invite.
Only a pleasure. Tell us about your property of the week this week.
Okay, well, it's a 2-bed, 2-bath penthouse, 132 square meters spread over 2 floors. And the upstairs is the spacious reception areas, lounge, dining room, which easily fits a 8 to 10 seater dining table, as well as a TV lounge and all study area.
So nice, entertaining property indeed.
Yeah, very much so. And the kitchen is open plan, which is easy access, as well as 2 balconies which lead off all these areas, which overlook the beautiful golf course and landscape gardens.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Yes. It's all set in Jackal Creek, which has a restaurant, school, squash courts, tennis courts, gym. So for up-and-coming young professionals, the school is quite a draw card, and everything else to do, riding bikes, cycling, walking, running, a lovely estate to be in.
Don't forget the golf.
And,
Most
of course, the
important,
golfers.
Golf.
Yeah.
And a beautiful course indeed. Now I'm waiting for you to drop the bombshell, Les. What is this property going to cost
Yes.
us?
It's 1250, 1,250,000 for all of that.
It really isn't that bad.
Not
I
at
was
all.
expecting a hell of a lot more from you. But
No,
gee
no, no.
whiz, that is definitely not a bad price
Value
at
for
all.
money.
Definitely is. Tell us, Les, if we want to have a look at this property, where can we browse and have a look at some of the photos and more information regarding?
Okay, well, best would be to book a private viewing, and you can find me on the websites or call me direct on 083 268 6887.
Fantastic. Give us your web address as well, please.
Well, it's etchellsandyoung.co.za.
Nice and easy. And
Yes,
it
very
is
easy.
AND, not the and sign, right?
Correct, yes.
Fantastic.
AND.
Lovely, Les. Lucky to speak to you again. Thank you for bringing us our
Okay.
property of the week. And to all those
Thank you.
home hunters, go and have a look at this one. I think this one will suit you quite nicely. And then invite me for a game of golf, I think. All right, Les, we'll chat
Thank
with you
you,
again.
Al. Lovely
Cheers
being
now.
here. Yes.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
So there we have it. Another edition of our property perspective with Etchells and Young and you, Harry. And we will chat with you again next week, apparently from you out overlooking the ocean in your shorts and T-shirt, which is fantastic.
Let's hope so. Although the weather forecast for the weekend is not great, it normally picks up and changes quite quickly. But as always, it's been a pleasure. Thanks, Al and Lesedi. Great chatting to you guys.
Lovely.
Thanks, Harry.
Well, maybe next time we do an OB from there. I think that's a fantastic idea.
Indeed.
So no pressure, Harry.